The cylinder head temp sensor is back here on the back side of the intake manifold. You can access it by removing this plate inside the battery box or taking the intake manifold off. Both will get you right there. When that fails, you'll notice the cylinder head temperature reading fluctuating a lot more than usual, as well as the water temperature. There is no coolant temp sensor on the GT350. It infers the data based on the oil temperature and the cylinder head temperature, and infers the coolant temperature. So that coolant temperature that you see on your gauge under the tach, that is inferred data. That may start acting erratically. You may get an extended start where it'll crank over like normal, but it won't fire because it's basically in limp mode at that point. And you may also get rough idling. Sometimes it'll stall. I've had that fail on me. And it did all those. Once it does fire up, it may shoot a bunch of smoke out the back, and that's all the raw fuel that got dumped in when it was trying to start. But again, $40 sensor, and you can be back on the road. And one other common issue with these engines is oil leaking down by the oil filter, specifically due to the oil pressure sensor. I've seen it happen both ways, where the oil actually just goes through the sensor just over time. Oil just somehow it seeps into the back side of the sensor and just it's basically pressurized, and it comes out of the harness. And then on mine, what actually happened was the sensor had actually backed off over time. We're at 30,000 miles. I've never messed with it, and I noticed I started to have an oil leak. Now I still have the spin-on oil filter, and I thought, okay, maybe the filter's finally come loose. I've never had the filter come loose on me. I torque it to spec every time. I check it periodically, but I've never had an issue with the filter. I get down there, I take the wheel off, and I put my hand on the filter, and it's tight. It definitely was not coming from the filter, so I cleaned the area off and noticed I had oil coming from the oil pressure sensor. And I'd seen this before, and I was like, dang it, I need a sensor. But just by chance, I put my ratchet on it, and it was like hand tight. So this thing had just slowly backed out over time through like heat cycles, vibration, all that kind of stuff. And I figure probably in the next 100 miles, that thing would have blown out the side of the engine, and I would have shot oil all over the place, and who knows what would have happened with the hot exhaust right there. So again, a super common issue. If yours is if it's leaking from that area, check the sensor, make sure it's tight. If it is tight, then you need to replace the sensor. If it's not tight, tighten it up and you'll be good to go. I tightened it up. I just did, again, 700 miles of hard rally mountain driving with Whiskey Group, and it didn't leak anymore after that. So we got lucky there.